Welcome back guys. So we're over here in the garage. We're going to be doing a custom H17 build for a customer. This one is specific. The customer wants to go at least 50 miles an hour, at least. So we're going to have to put in a big motor in it. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this 2850 brushless XT motor with a custom made 3D printed and carbon fiber motor mount. So we'll throw that in there, and it should be pretty fast with that motor. I haven't tried it yet, but I'm running a 2845 in the yellow H17 that I'm running now, so it should be comparable. All right, guys. So we're having some mic issues, so this is a voiceover. Don't get scared. What I'm doing here is basically I'm showing you guys that I cleaned it up, I sanded it down, wet sanded it, and now I'm showing you guys the transom template and the driveline template, and we're about to get to drilling it. So I'm going to pull out my tools, my file, my drill, and we'll get to drilling it and go to town. Nothing special over here, just drilling through the drill through transom template, and gonna be filing down the driveline holes to fit the stuffing tube, and that's pretty much it, guys. Here we go.
Traveling in time.
All right, we're back. Hardware in, sealed and waterproofed, and now we have to dry fit this driveline in along with the motor mount, servo, pack her with foam, give her a maiden, because we're doing a special order for this one. We're not just packaging it and shipping it, we're testing and tuning it and then packaging it. Request from the customer. So we're going to go ahead and do that for him. Anyways, right now we're at the point where you can dry fit this motor mount in along with our drive line, and resin in the drive line. Once we resin in the drive line, we can start installing this plumbing on this side, then epoxy in the motor mount, and so on and so forth. So what I need to do right now is I need to sand a little bit over here, and at the same time I'm going to sand where the motor mount is going to go, and I'm going to sand where the servo mount is going to go. So stick around. All right, it's good to go. Get a little bit of alcohol. This is already wet with some alcohol, and just kind of wipe it down. But what I'm going to do also is I'm going to give it some compressed air real quick. So I'll be right back. All right, hit that with the compressed air. Now we're in here on the stand, and we're going to start putting in the drive line. So first things first, we need to get the strut. Strut right here. All right, so we're going to dry fit the strut inside. Just throw a bolt in there for so it doesn't move around on us. Throw a temp nut in there so it doesn't come out. Okay, there we go. So now we have our strut in. We can start placing our drive line. Make sure the drive line is seated into the strut, the stuffing tube. So now that's in. Kind of eyeball it, see that there's no twist in it. And we have a twist, so I want to get that twist out of there. And from that, I see I need a little bit more filing to this side right over here. Let's see here. All right, guys, you know, this is unfortunately tedious, so I'm apologizing if this is a little boring. There we go. Drive line in. All right, so we take our cable, dry fit that sucker in there too. Whoop. Come on out there, buddy. Now, check yourself a million times. So take the motor mount, and we're going to dry fit this motor mount right here. And this is helping us, obviously, for the placement of the stuffing tube, so it's not off when we epoxy the motor mount in. Tell you what, boys, I think I'm gonna need to reduce the height of these a little bit. So give me a second. I'll grind these down and we'll come back in. Just a little, not too much, unfortunately. All right. That went quickly. Let's double check our elevation template for the motor mount, and that's going to be good now. All right, so I'll put this motor mount back together. All right, here we go. Let's see. All right, almost there. Almost there. So now we're going to cut out some fiberglass. If you remember from the last video, we give it a little slit and put it over just like so, so that it can wrap around that pipe. And then we can put another piece over it, you know? You want to have your pieces of fiberglass prepped right before you mix your resin. All right, so now that we're done mixing this, we're going to start laying this down. And just like yesterday, actually, just like yesterday, we're going to tack this in so it doesn't move everywhere on us. All right, guys, I think that's it. We're going to let this dry, and we'll come back to it tomorrow morning. We'll epoxy in the motor mount, the servo, install the rest of the plumbing, put foam inside of it, and then we'll take it to the lake and do some testing on it. I already got a prop in mind. It's the one I want to start off with. And we're running this with a 2845 motor and a Hobbywing G70 version 2 ESC, which is right over here. I've been using this ESC in my yellow H17 that I've been testing, and I've been testing the capabilities of it, and honestly it's pretty good. The one thing I don't like about it is, if you can see on it, hasn't been opened yet, but basically there's a nipple on this side and then there's a nipple on that side, and just through cooling, and the cooling only cools right up there. The rest is like a heat sink, and that cools the motherboard of the ESC. So what I did on mine, I chose to not use this cooling, and I just put a standard cooling plate right on it, and I wrapped it. This one I'm going to heat shrink it, and it works really well, really well. I didn't even want to bother trying the minimal cooling that this had, because the cooling plate also ends up like covering the capacitors a little bit, so it keeps them even cooler. So that's what we're going to do with this ESC, and that's what we're going to do with this whole setup over here. So we're going to modify that. So I'll do that, and we'll cut back in tomorrow morning when we epoxy this in, install the hardware, and get her ready for her maiden. We're working on a special livery for this boat. I don't want to tell you guys what it's going to be yet, but when you see it, you'll know, and it's going to be cool. So in the meantime, stick around. All right, guys, it's the following morning. Everything's nice and dry. Hasn't heated up too much in the garage yet, so I'm able to do some work. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm actually just going to tack in this motor mount with some epoxy, let it dry, and then undo the motor so that I can get the epoxy in all around it. And I'm going to do the servo mount when I finalize the epoxy on the motor mount, if that makes sense. So right now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mix a tiny bit of this epoxy. All right, so we'll cut back in when we have this motor mount removed, and I'm going to set this servo. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to have the servo set this way or if I'm going to have the servo set that way. And the reason for that is because the older models don't have this deep of a lip. Regardless of the width of the lip, the depth of the lip brings the tray down, brings the hatch down just a little lower. What happens is the servo horn right over here touches the top of the hatch and then does not let you turn very easily, and ultimately destroys your servo. All right, let's give this a check. The easiest way to check if it's dry is to check the epoxy that you had in here. And if that's not fully dry, see, that's not fully dry, it's still moving around in there. See that? So we still have to wait a little bit. See that moving around in there? You can still peel it out, so it's not fully dry. So we do not want to touch the motor mount at all. Nothing. We'll wait, have some patience. We'll set this guy in there, and we'll start packing her with foam. All right. That took a minute. Took longer than I expected. So I still had to reduce the height of the motor mount, and I had to cut a slit over here in this lip and bring it back down, bring it back to a 1/4 inch over here so we can get the servo in. And right now the epoxy is drying, so I'm going to let it dry for a little while, and then I'm going to start packing this thing with foam up in the sponsons and up here on the bulkhead, and we'll start putting her together. I'm also working on 2 other H17s. We got a green one right here, actually 2 other green ones. So these will be done, one of these will be done tonight and be able to be shipped out tomorrow. And then tomorrow, hopefully, we will be able to do the maiden for this red H17. And we'll take it from there, guys. We'll take it from there. That's what we got so far. So sorry about the build videos that are repetitive. Same color hull, just different size, doing the same type of deal. Installing the stuffing tube, installing hardware, motor, servos, etc. But I promised the customer that we would make a build video of his boat, so that's what we're doing, and I actually really enjoyed building this one. Red is one of my favorite colors in the hydroplanes. I actually like green. Green is my favorite color, but these red hydroplanes just look badass. Something about the red just pops. All right, guys, so I won't keep you too long, so that's it. We will keep working on this green boat right over here while the epoxy is drying. So now what I have to do over here is I have to install the transom hardware, install the stuffing tube, install the turn fin hardware, etc., etc. So I won't bore you guys with that, and we will see everybody at the lake. Thanks for tuning in.